talent. You came in for me. Welcome to Medicine Buddha. It's so wonderful to see you all. Welcome to those of you who are new. This is the practice of Medicine Buddha. This, as you know, is the profound path of healing. Healing meaning that we're trying to get to this experience of not just surviving, but thriving, doing it on our own terms, right? Um, Absolute healing in this tradition means awakening, enlightenment. And none of this means that we're creating anything. We are remembering our basic awakened nature. Like we're just trying to remember, right? And this path, or rather this practice, is about remembrance, right? That we're not necessarily trying to fix anything. Actually, we're trying to practice and train in holding space for what is. And as we hold space for what is, we get to choose a response to what is arising, right? We're trying to be in relationship to the truth, right? Earlier today, I was just reflecting on how, for me, so much of this healing work is about choosing to change, like to change. Um, and we're changing perspectives, we're changing, shifting misunderstandings. We're trying to get clear about so much. And so much of this change is also the work of letting go, right? To let go. And what helps us to let go is the work of grief, right? Grief work, learning how to notice, right? The shifting, the change, to feel that change and to offer that change, that shifting space. Yeah, I mean, like 2 hours. Someone's not muted. Okay. And um, and so many of us are just fighting not to change. It's just this fight, this resistance, right? And I think, yeah, change is one of the hardest things, absolutely. But change is always happening. That's impermanence. One of the basic laws that we can't change, we can't cover up. Change is always happening, right? As Octavia Butler taught us, God is change. So this basic nature of what we experience is just always shifting. And so much of this path, particularly of Buddhism, is learning how to open and to relax into the change, right? To do this profound work of letting go, letting each second go over and over and over again, letting the second die, letting the new second be reborn, letting that second die, opening to the new second, on and on and on and on, right? That's the law, that's the work or the labor that we're being called into, right? And right now, in this moment of systemic collapse, where everything just seems like it's shifting so rapidly, this is what we're called to do. We're called to show up to this moment of just intense shifting and change, to say yes to it, to open to it, to ride it as much as we can, as best as we can, right? And if you choose to ride it, or if you choose to say yes to this collective change, it's world change, right? It will take us deeper and deeper and deeper into this awakening or this remembrance, right, of what we really are, um, both individually and collectively. Right. And I think Medicine Buddha is one of those practices that's helping us to do that. The way that the practice is tending to us. Right. So I'm excited to be in this space with you all again. And as always, if you would just like to do a little check-in in the chats, that would be wonderful. I'm just interested in what you're bringing into the space, what you're carrying as we prepare to actually, this is the last Monday practice of July. Um, and we go into Leo season and into August. And yeah, like how are you feeling? What are you bringing into the space? How are you doing in your post integrative or post retrograde um, integration, right? What's still coming out? What's still being released? Some depression, just reading through some of the reflections, feeling like I'm too, what's that? What's that? Feeling like I am too much. Oh, I keep losing that statement. Clarity, sobriety, opening to new perspectives, calm after months of tension, blessings, retreating, open and full of uncertainty, being asked to go deeper, down deeper, grief. Oh yeah, feeling like I'm doing too much and too little at the same time. What else? Struggling with finances. So yeah, just put some prayer requests in. So let's offer some of this in our prayers. And so much fear of uncertainty, vulnerability to change, confused about being active in my life versus reacting and control, um, feeling overwhelmed, avoiding the family anger, rage at me for not meeting their expectations, feel angry, irritated, despair. Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about despair, actually, and we talk about despair quite a bit, right? And sometimes the despair is the absence of hope. And I've been really interested in what it means for hope to return. And there's a word for that. There's a word for the return of hope, which is respair. Respair opposed to despair. So therefore, I'm interested in what respairing feels like, what the return of hope feels like the return of daylight or light after the long nights, right? The return, right? The return of deep belief in what is possible, the return of a belief in how we're much more than we seem to be, right? And so what else? Yeah, right. Feeling isolated in my practices of care, especially those related to disability justice. Yeah, I feel that I won't be able to grow in relationships when I heal and grow internally. And I fear that I won't be able to grow in relationships when I heal and grow internally. Yeah, and sometimes it's a discernment of how certain relationships won't be able to hold our growth, right? Um, that for me, as there's a lot of relationships that I'm not active in because they haven't met me in my growth, right? And the relationships that remain active are the relationships where people are growing with me, you know. And I have this relationship with some of you in this space tonight, some of you who I share dual relationships with as maybe a teacher, student, but also as an elder, as one of my elders, or as friends, right? Um, and so many of you have chosen to grow with me through all kinds of iterations. Particularly, highlighting my relationship with Sister Shifra, who's basically a Celtic practitioner now, and where did that come from? We don't know, but here we go, right? And we grow together, you know. Sister Shifra, who is Irish-ish, which I love. Um, but this is what it means to say yes to impermanence. Like you will change, and there will be experiences opening up, and you're like, okay, where did this come from? Right? But there it is, very clearly calling you into engagement, right? So I want us, as we are beginning to turn into our practice for this session, right? It's always important for me to communicate that you don't have to give up so much to be here. What I and what the tradition only asks you to surrender is anything that creates harm for you or for anyone else. Anything that feels like violence, right? Or anything that maybe is struggling to fit in or to find belonging with other parts of your identity. Like what we're trying to do is create this sense of deep care and belonging for everything that we need on this path, right? Um, and you can be Buddhist and all kinds of things at the same time. Many of you are, including myself, right? What's important for Dharma is that you have a central ethic that ultimately you're trying to remember. And I really do believe that's, the stated or perhaps the unstated purpose of many paths and religion, spiritual paths and religious paths, that you're trying to remember, right? That we're more than this moment, we're more than the struggle, right? But the struggle is actually teaching us how to remember, right? And I think Dharma is particularly about how we take the struggle and use it as medicine to remember who and what we are. This is my primary prayer for our practice, right? Is to remember. May I remember. May I remember that I don't have to get so distracted by the drama, the chaos. And that when I do get distracted by the drama and the chaos, those are experiences when the drama and the chaos is consuming me, that chaos is holding me. When in fact, what should be happening is that through my awareness, I should be holding everything, right? Holding, experiencing everything. That's when I start to consume the chaos instead of the chaos consuming me, right? And it feels so easy to allow the chaos to overwhelm us right now, but that's a choice that we are making. And we have to get clear about our capacity to make a different choice. That choice is essentially a response to the chaos or the discomfort. And when I talk about riding this moment or saying yes to this moment, what I'm saying is that we are practicing awareness of this moment. We're practicing to feel as much of this as possible, right? To feel it is to open to its nature, right? This nature, which is nothing but emptiness, spaciousness, and energy colliding together, right? That creates the foundation for everything that we experience, that makes it possible for phenomena, right, to be. And to experience everything, including phenomena, is to unlock the secret expression of all phenomena, which again is the expression of emptiness and space. We can't get to the secret expression of phenomena if we do not choose to, one, to notice it, and secondly, to feel it, to experience it, right? To move beyond conceptualizations, to move beyond thoughts, and to sit in the energy of the thing itself. That's when we start getting free. That freedom is when we start remembering. right? We start remembering that this is all just light and shadow illusion. It's just a play, right? Um, and that we can show up just to feel this, right? As we feel into the very secret or the nature of phenomena, we are at the same time feeling into and opening into our own natures. That is the practice of Mahamudra, right? When we open to the nature of one thing, we have opened to the nature of everything, right? We have opened to the nature of everything. And that is ultimately what this tradition of Medicine Buddha is actually supporting us in doing, helping us to open to the nature of even sickness, illness, discomfort, suffering, pain, right? To feel into it, to let go of all of the concepts about what this is and just get into the energy, right? Again, to awaken to the nature of pain is to awaken to the nature of everything, right? Again, as Lauren Hill's saying, everything is everything. One thing is the other, right? And that other is everything, right? There is nothing which does not arise from the state of emptiness, held by boundless space, whose very nature is this suchness, which is the energy from which phenomena is created, is shaped, right? So everything, all phenomena is just energy being shaped, right? Arising from emptiness, which is this ultimate potential for everything and anything to happen, right? Emptiness has no bounds, it has no limitations, right? Emptiness is, right? And our experience of suffering, which for me, I often use the language of carcerality, right? Our carcerality is really rooted in how we believe in the realness of everything, right? Everything is real. So it becomes material, which is materialistic, which is the opposite, right? The other extreme of nihilism, right? But this materialism that says, oh, everything is real, and so nothing can be changed, nothing can be transcended. When we hold that view, we are lost, trapped, we're really consumed by carcerality, this sense of being bound, trapped, surveilled, like limited, right? For me, it's the experience of being limited when I'm deeply buying into carcerality, which again is buying into this belief that everything's real. You know, what is real? Like, are you real? Right? Am I real? What's real? If everything was so real, things wouldn't change so much. Right? There wouldn't be this intense experience of change, evolution, like all the time, everywhere, right? So, so much of my practice, like, we talk about practice all the time, and my practice is so it's not so formal as I think most people may believe it to be. So much of my practice is just this. It's just this moment when I choose to just relax, to open, right? I teach the snow practice or the Snowell practice all the time, which many of you, have learned from me. But the snow practice is really just my basic practice. Like that's my primary practice. It's just to sit, to notice, right? To open to, right? And to experience everything, right? It's not necessarily chanting medicine Buddha or Tara or sitting at the altars or doing ceremony, which I do, right? All of that. And many of you do that with me too, online and in person. But really, my primary practice is just this, just choosing to open, to relax into the moment, to notice what arises, to feel the weight of my body in the seat, right? To connect to the earth, right? To feel how I'm being held by the earth as the mother. And then space, sky, right, as the father, right? Space and spaciousness, right, is how I have learned to experience emptiness, right? Space, right? And sometimes there's too much space. You can actually have too much space, or you can open too widely, too open, or you can tune in too intensely to space, right? And so there's a balance that we're maintaining. I have to call this balance like a tension, right? The tension is staying aware, right? Staying with phenomena arising within space while at the same time relaxing into space. And the tension itself arises because space and relaxing into space is very sweet, right? It's seductive in a good way, right? But in my mind, seduction is always good, but like that's a whole nother talk for another day, I'm a tantric practitioner, so this is how we think. But space, and when you connect to space, can feel it feels like it's inviting you. For me, that's the experience of the mother, right? That's primarily the experience for me of Kali, right? Kali, yeah, we have all these notions about what Kali and the wrathful deities are, but really Kali is about the overwhelming presence of space, right? And my first real introduction as an experience of Kali was through being seduced by space. Mm. But there's again the tension here of opening, relaxing to space, but remaining aware, noticing, feeling, right? This is what I call agency, right? I am choosing to remain present. I am choosing to remain focused. I'm choosing also to touch into space, fluidity, openness. We're not trying to just float away, you know, or as Enya would sing, sail away. Sail away, sail away, sail. Oh my God, that was the jam in the 90s. But focused. That might end up on a playlist one day for you all. But this is where we're going to start in our practice, right? We're going to start with all of this, right? And this is how we're going to meet Medicine Buddha and welcome Medicine Buddha into the practice, right? So again, let's start at the top again. Let's find our seat and the weight of our bodies, the density of our bodies, right? And how the seat rises to hold you. We have to allow ourselves to be here, right? This is a big part of our practice. We have to choose to be here. And I know some of us are still struggling, even though we have been embodied in this life maybe for decades. Some of us are still struggling to choose to be here, right? To be with the body. And for me, embodiment coming from many years of disassociation, right? This journey back to my physical expression has been really difficult, right? To inhabit, to allow my awareness to really inhabit my physical expression. Right? So this is a journey, it's a process. We move at our own pace, right? But to really get this started, we have to at some point consciously choose our bodies. We have to say yes. We say yes to not just the comfort, but the discomforts. Right? We open to all the ways our bodies have been labeled, right? Are indoctrinated, all the ways our bodies have been politicized, right? The ways in which our bodies have been, um, yeah, well, interpreted without our consent, given meanings. We have to notice what's been laid upon us. And once we notice it, we start making different choices to redefine who we are through our bodies. And so much of my embodiment work is really about learning how to open to the intense, deep brokenheartedness, the kind of brokenheartedness that is collective, but is also ancestral and is also the accumulation of past lives, everything coming together. So learn how to say yes to that brokenheartedness, that deep disappointment, to move through it, to wail through it, to sob through it, to disrupt through it. So many years of my practice has been nothing but grieving, like the work of grief, acknowledging the brokenheartedness and choosing to feel the brokenheartedness. And you go deeper and deeper, so deep that it feels as if it will last forever. And then we touch the earth, and we remember the earth is always holding us, the earth that arises as the expression of the mother, the earth as not just the mother, but I often say the earth as our first ancestor, maybe even our primary ancestor. And for me, often in my practice, this is where I stay, right? Just feeling the seed, feeling the earth. So I feel the earth, the tethering, right, of the earth, or the anchoring of the earth, and then opening, right, to everything else that's arising, everything from sounds, from things, scents, and so forth, to physical sensations, to thoughts, emotions, everything. I just open into this open awareness of everything all at once. And this is over many years where I find my home, is this holding of everything at once, letting space be present, relying on the anchors of the earth, the seat, maybe the anchor of my breath. Just letting everything express itself, even especially the brokenheartedness, which I find myself, like many of us, unconsciously subduing or bypassing. So I let that be present, let it have its space. And soon we will turn our attention to our opening mantra, which Sister Shifa will post in the chats in just a moment. But from this space, we begin to call the consciousness of Medicine Buddha, of Minla Sangye, the great healer. This space, this experience is where all the Buddhas emerge from. And so let's prepare to move into our mantra. And as always, we will chant the mantra 3 times, but we begin with an elongated chanting of Om, then chanting the mantra 3 times, and then ending with another elongated chanting of Om. And Om being the seed syllable, or the origin, right? The beginning. That everything is born from this frequency of Om. And I think that everything will one day end in the returning back to Om. So let's begin. Om Lazange Kino Soha. Om Lazange Kino Soha. Om Lazange Kino And so, from where we are and from within our minds, we turn our attention to the space around us. And as we often do, I invite you to imagine that the world and the space around you begins to fill up with all of our benefactors. And this means all the beings in the universe who love us, who want us to be free, who want us to thrive. All the beings who are accompanying us on this path of remembering. In our imagination, in our minds, we call these beings to be present with us, and we can see them around us in our imagination. We can feel them, or we can just trust that they are present with us, even though we may not be able to feel or see them in our mind. But as if we are in the center of the universe and all of our benefactors are like stars beginning to awaken all around us, above us, under us, to the right, to the left, in all the directions. All of these benefactors awakening like glittering, shining diamonds in the sky. Their radiance, this radiant white light, is the radiance of their profound care for us. And that light begins to illuminate all the space around us. And that radiance begins to slowly be absorbed into our bodies, as if our bodies are beginning to drink deeply from this light of care around us. And our bodies are filled with this light. And this light, again, being the energy of care. This energy of care is love, it's compassion, it's kindness, it's the feeling of being deeply seen and held by someone who wants us to be free. It is the Buddhas, it is the Bodhisattvas, it is the great Dharma protectors. They are the benevolent ancestors, those ancestors who are here just ready and resourced, loving us, that we don't have to give anything back in this moment. They're here offering, and we don't have to know who they are, but they are present with us, pouring into us. We feel the presence and acknowledge the presence of so many beings. Even the presence of beings who are still very much alive and embodied, they show up. Our plants and animal allies and relations, they show up. Whenever the world becomes too dark, too dense, I empower you to engage in this practice of remembering that we are always being held. We're always being poured into by all the beings who love us, and all the beings who love us are numberless. Right? Numberless. open to this energy, this care, this resource. Let yourself be cared for, deeply loved, deeply accepted. Usher this energy into the parts of ourselves that need to be held, that need to be tended to. Usher this energy into the brokenheartedness. Usher this energy into the resentment, the grudges. Usher this energy into the secret, cold, dead places that never feels like there's life there. But let this energy restore that life. Let yourself be deeply seen and touched by the care of all of these beings. And as we are being filled, as we become expressions of light itself, we imagine that slowly we become the expression of the great healer, that we become Medicine Buddha. We start by simply saying, I am. And it's okay to say I am, to directly identify as the healer, because the healer is basically nothing but an expression of emptiness. So to become an expression of Medicine Buddha means that we begin to accept and begin to experience that we ourselves are two expressions of emptiness, of space, that we are just energy. In our minds, we arise as, yes, this expression of Medicine Buddha, which simply is the Sambhogakaya expression of what we are. Sambhogakaya meaning just energy. We are the energetic expressions of awakening. We are light. We are translucent, brilliant. We're glowing, we're shining, we're fabulous. We radiate. Let yourself radiate. Let yourself just become this care. And as we become the care, we become the healer. Letting go of thoughts, concepts, and just be. Let yourself be here in this radiance. And so in a moment, we will turn our attention to the main mantra, Teata. Om Bekense, Bekense, Maha Bekense, Rasu Sumon Gate Soha. And as we eventually begin the chanting, we just allow ourselves to just be. We're not trying to do anything. We're not trying to heal anything, right? We're just abiding within this radiance. And let the radiance and let the energy of the mantra do this work for us. And we'll begin our chanting, then we'll take a break to offer our prayer requests, then we will turn back for a little bit of chanting, as we always do in our sessions. Again, just let yourself become. And we'll begin. O Teanda Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze rasu sumunga de soa. Te anda umbeganze, beganze, ma beganze, rasu sumunga de soa. Te anda umbeganze, beganze, ma beganze, rasu sumunga de soa. Te anda umbeganze, beganze, ma beganze, rasu sumunga de soa. Te anda umbeganze, beganze, ma beganze, rasu sumunga de soa. Te anda umbeganze, beganze, ma beganze, rasu sumunga de soa. Te anda umbeganze, beganze, ma beganze, rasu sumunga de soa. Te turning my attention to the prayer requests, and in your practice, I invite you just to continue to sit within this radiance of light. Either you're feeling it, you're imagining it, or just trusting that this is happening. And as I offer the prayers, imagining that you're tuning into the energy of these prayers and offering the energy into this radiance being the nature of you as the great healer, as Medicine Buddha. This radiance is the truth of what we all are, right? And so these prayers, the energy of these prayers get offered into the radiance of what we are, and that begins to shift other energies around us and begins to create this kind of cause and effect, kind of situation, right? Where we're moving things and bringing about the outcome that we most need to experience. Now, noticing the choice of language here, the outcome that we need, which may be different than the outcome that we want, or necessarily the outcome that we are praying for in these requests. So we stay open, right? And we stay fluid as to how our prayers are being met and answered. But as always, we begin by, again, calling the attention of all the spirits, which includes all the Buddhas, all the Bodhisattvas, Yidams, Dharma protectors, all beings of light, all the spirits and guardians of the lands and all of the elements holding us. We call into this space all of our benevolent ancestors who are working with us to bring about the change that we need to see as well. We call to Medicine Buddha and all the ways the great healer is manifesting to hold these prayers. And we pray that you and all those we've called work on our behalf to bring about the fruition of these prayers. And please continue to show us how to also bring about the fruition of these prayers, but also please bless us with the resources we need to bring about the fruition of these prayers. And that is my first prayer, that all of our benefactors bless us with the resources that we need to bring about what we need as well. And we continue to offer prayers that I may become financially and mentally stable, prayers for the courage to take a chance on myself, my art, my creativity, and to finish my documentary project, prayers of healing and long life for His Eminence Garchen Rinpoche, who is working through a viral illness, prayers that the insight's guidance will deepen and be of service to others, prayers that I may open up to see, hear what direction I need to commit to help myself materially and spiritually, prayers for my brother's spirit, that he choose healing and see possibilities outside of his alcoholism before he hurts himself and or others, prayers for the trust and freedom to be seen and accepted as a whole and perfect being, and by myself and others outside of me, prayers for assistance in shedding my body of weight I carry that is not mine, and to let go of the old versions of me that I have still held on to, prayers for my heart to be open, to be believing that I'm worthy of love and prosperity, prayers for my sister, her wife, and 3 children navigating healing childhood trauma, prayers for my mama to continue to age gracefully and have safe travels, prayers for C to be resourced with basic needs and spiritual guidance, prayers for AL healing from migraines, prayers for Garchen Rinpoche's recovery and healing from his illnesses, prayers to move through the world peacefully and peacefully, prayers for myself, Melissa, Judith, Kathy, Sharon, Trevor, and Andy, prayers for my partner and I's beginning journey of returning to couples counseling, prayers for JB to get free, prayers that my upcoming surgery goes well and that my finances improve, prayers for Izzy's good health, prayers for JS's heart. May we be at peace and strong in these troubling times. I pray I'm guided to do the right actions for love and liberation. May all adoption survivors find liberation and healing. Prayers for softening my heart and mind. Prayers for Corridoro Ruiz's passage through the Bardo. May all those mourning his death at the hands of police, all those holding vigil, and those protesting racist carceral violence in Madison, Wisconsin be held by all possible sources of seen and unseen support. May this collective heartbreak lead to collective liberation. Prayers for the earth and all beings experiencing the dangers of wildfires. May the earth heal and may people and their loved ones be safe, protected, and supported. Prayers of big, deep love and gratitude for all my guides' help. Prayers for Palestine, Iran, and Venezuela. Prayers for Mike as he continues his healing journey. And for all those suffering from cancer. Prayers for Bonnie and Michael that their transition be pain-free and surrounded by love. Prayers for the continual deepening of my healing abilities, confidence, and power. Prayers of safety and protection for my moves and travel and guidance for my path forward. Prayers for H's liberation and support in the immediate as he navigates adolescence and complicated dynamics. Prayers for liberation for G and all he needs to be resourced in this world and the one to come. Prayers for support as we hold what comes next with these illnesses as a family and as individuals. Prayers for A and Z as they set out on a new chapter. Prayers for C to embrace all the teachings from this moment. Prayers for N to get free and for our babies that they continue to heal together. Prayers for J and A for all they need to get free. Prayers for E that she may be free from pain and the shame that rules her. Prayers that I may continue softening into and dedicating myself to this work, no matter how difficult or scary. Prayers of exponential gratitude for my benefactors for the love and protection and guidance. Prayers for aid to find housing. Prayers for ease and space. Prayers for my need for security and safety. Prayers for gratitude for full resourcing for Lama Rod and his team. Prayers for my ongoing liberation and for all the resources needed to continue. Prayers for P, M, L, and R to have free, joyful, healthy, and long lives. Prayers for JP, ES, XM, JSHT, SP, and ST's liberation. Prayers for the safety and well-being of all beings impacted by wildfires across Turtle Island. Prayers for the end of a beloved relationship. May we both be liberated from suffering we cause each other, and may we find joy, peace, and belonging with others. Prayers for those impacted by hate and war. May money flow to and through me with ease and abundance. Prayers for my mom to take action to have my dad stop driving since it's dangerous for him to be driving with his memory loss. May I be clear on how I can support and love them both through this transition. Prayers for reconnection to the lands that support us and our bodies. May I transform my beliefs that being financially abundantly resourced is inherently corrupt and dangerous so that I may be resourced and able to contribute. Prayers for being available to support of all kinds. Prayers for courage. Prayers for all who were impacted by the shootings in the unceded land, sometimes called Seattle, yesterday evening. And may those that are grieving find comfort and community, and those still healing be restored to a sense of wholeness and safety as soon as possible. Prayers for me to relinquish judgment, contempt, and hostility. Prayers for Sophie and the beings she'll be bringing to the world in a day now. Prayers for JP, healing from burnout and depression. May the healing be deep and bring eternal abundance. Prayers for FV and LV, may their paths be peaceful and harmonious. Prayers that our household can find harmony and easy ways of being together in addition to individual space. Please pray for my eyelid and my bones to heal. Prayers for my beloved Father Thomas John McCulloch, who passed into Bardo on July 15th after a long journey with Alzheimer's. May his transition be filled with love and tenderness. May I learn new ways to honor his memory in my heart. Prayers for rest and for connection with my ancestors, especially my mother and grandmother, Oma and Harmony, and their healing. Prayers to hear my spirits guides and to listen to their messages of love and care. Safe travel for Joel and Alina. Prayers for awakening of all sentient beings. Prayer for a conscious, loving, awake relationship with money. Prayers for safe travels for CNS, for the well-being of them, their children, and their parents. Prayers for trust in my creative practice. Prayers for discernment as I contemplate next steps in my career and potentially moving cities. Prayers that I can continue to care for my mental and physical health in a good way and pursue hobbies that I love that help keep me sane. Prayers for the safe travels of all the indigenous peoples participating in the canoe journey this year in the Pacific Northwest. And prayers for all who travel and those who love them. Prayers for liberation from the hauntings of losses, old wounds, and patterns and narratives to move through grief consciously, to live in both the realms at once, to allow my housing, visa, and work arrangements to unfold. Prayers for steady, ongoing remembering and returning again and again and again, even though decades from my birth in this life, it doesn't feel like I was ever fully in this body or ever fully stable walking in on this world. May I learn to fully be here. Prayers for my son Jamie, who had thyroid surgery 3 weeks ago, just starting medication and leaving for a 2-week business trip to France, which is on fire and hot. Prayers for safe travel, safe return, and health. Also, prayers for my daughter with a collection of disturbing symptoms, getting tests soon. Also, traveling and juggling work, parenthood, and exhaustion. And for my cat, who's beginning to lose vision from glaucoma. Prayers for my own health and be able to juggle all these things with tenderness and care and trust in the loving homecoming circle. And then there's the world. Prayers for Siobhan, and that her back and other pains be relieved. Prayers for Polly's wrist, that it may be relieved from its long-standing pain. Prayers that I may find my base and my truth amidst starting a new job under capitalism and amidst navigating conflict with close friends. May my ways and practices in these spaces and relationships continue to collect healing. Prayers of gratitude for the staff at Candlewood Suites for their compassion towards me and for my current financial situation. May they always be blessed, Ashe. Prayers for the infants, the toddlers, and their caregivers. Prayers for my grandfather on his birthday. Prayers that he is completely free, and may he feel gratitude for his unending generosity and tender heart in this realm and beyond. Prayers for my new chapter, for my art to flourish. May I become all who I am meant to be, and may I be and feel deeply supported always. Prayers for Marie as she awakens to the reality of her suffering from physical and sexual abuse. May she rest in the light of loving awareness. Prayers that I may have all that I need to continue opening to the present moment. Prayers for all of us in recovery from PTSD. Prayers for my mom in her new home. May it be a refuge for her. I continue to offer prayers on behalf of all the people who are seeking justice, support, for beloveds, for communities. I continue to pray for the support and protection of the family of Nolan Wells, and for everyone involved in his harm to be brought to justice, and for all beings to be free from all acts of harm and violence, be it genocide, be it wars, be it famine. May we remember the great aspirations of Medicine Buddha as he was obtaining awakening himself, right? That all beings may be free from all violence, from all harm. May all beings have what they need in order to not just survive, but to thrive. May all systems of harm, violence, all systems that prevent us from having access and getting access to resources we need be abolished. May everything that keeps us from experiencing and opening to real love, to real community and belonging be abolished. May we all get free as quickly as possible. May we remember who and what we are now. May this be so. We offer these prayers into the light, into the essence, into emptiness itself. That may all of these prayers come to fruition as quickly as possible. Returning back to our mantra just for a couple of minutes, returning back to this deep radiance of light, filling our bodies, that has transformed us into the great healer, returning to being held by all of our benefactors around us in this galaxy of care around us. And we return to the mantra. Teya taum bekenze, maha bekenze, rasa sumung gate soha. O Teya taum bekenze, maha bekenze, rasa sumung gate soha. Teya taum bekenze, maha bekenze, Begenze ma begenze ranze sumunga tesoa. And so we slowly begin to imagine that all of this light, the light radiating from our bodies as the healer, all the light around us radiating from our benefactors, everything begins to dissolve into this white light. Our bodies, our benefactors, all phenomena, into this brilliance. And this brilliance dissolves into emptiness. And what is left is simply our awareness, our knowing. Resting within emptiness itself. And so when you're ready, I invite you to allow your body to start taking form again, noticing the weight of your body, noticing the seat holding you, connecting to the earth, feeling the earth, the energy, the consciousness of the earth lifting, holding us, feeling your body taking form within space. And above us, the elements of the Father arising as the sky. When you're ready, moving into a few deep cleansing breaths as you inhale into your nose, releasing out of your mouth. And then beginning to reawaken your bodies through simple movement when you're ready. So we'll turn our attention now to Shanti Deva's prayer, which will be in the chat, and we will recite this 3 times. Okay, we begin. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. May I be a protector to those without protection, and a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures, and until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. And finally, may I be a protector to those without protection, and a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach unto the ends of space. All right. Thank you all so much for your practice, and and um, and for the next couple sessions, we'll be having um, practice leaders, as I will be traveling um, for retreats and so forth. Um, so thank you all so much for your practice. And I don't think there's any other announcements. I don't think there's anything else. Shifa, you have anything? Just in case
Yeah, just one, thank you so much, Lama Rod, for the practice and the transmission. It was beautifully generous, and I'm sure many of us will express in the chat and in other places what we were able to receive tonight. Just a couple of reminders. There are links to support and sustain Lama Rod in his healing work in the world. There's also the Medicine Buddha quick links. And there's a lot coming up in the rest of this summer season, or kind of beginning of the harvest season. Lunasa will be on Saturday, so just depending on what time orientation you use. But this weekend will be the Chenrezi practice. Also coming up, as Lamarad says, is Wonderwell, and online meeting the ancestors. So that's just some highlights. Please, please, please check the website out, lamarad.com. And yeah, we'll see you. We will see you online and in person.
yeah. I feel like
Oh,
there's some.
I
Oh,
did have one question. There were a couple of questions. I don't know if we still take questions, or you want to take questions. I can just
yeah.
see
Are there
them.
questions? Yeah. If there are.
Well, yeah, they were just kind of quick questions. Maybe you can speak to them if you had time and space.
Sure. Yeah. What are
Okay.
they?
So one is, isn't hope an avoidance of reality as it is? And that was
Hope
my
is
question.
hope is a survival strategy for those who have been deeply oppressed and marginalized. So, I love that. I love that. And that question is so important. Because you come into Buddhist culture and it's anti-hope, which for me equates as anti-black. right? Because some of us wouldn't be free without the hoping of Black people, right? And how that hope manifests as liberation struggle, as prayer, as magic, as resistance, But yes, also want to acknowledge that hope, yes, can be used to bypass. Absolutely, right? So we just want to be careful with it and to understand that hope is the acknowledgement that things change, right? So hope is an expression of impermanence, right? So as long as we hold that, this is another tension. Like, let's hold this. Like, yeah, I am hoping, but I'm also working and praying for something else to happen, but I'm still in the moment. So we have to hold both of these together. I'm still here, and I'm still dreaming and working for something else to happen. You so use it like that. And I want us to stay hopeful, right? Retain your hope, but also pair that hope with action, right? Not just hope to hope, but just with what am I going to do to bring about the future that I want to experience for myself and for my community. So that's it.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much. And one more question, and these are just earlier in the chat that I was able to capture. And the second question is, what do we do when the energy is crushing us,
Oh,
or
yeah.
so it seems?
Yeah.
The empty spaciousness feels like it is collapsing into a black hole.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's the the intensity of materialism happening. That's extreme materialism, that kind of collapse where everything becomes so real it becomes impossible, right? And we can do all kinds of stuff, right? I would take that kind of visceral experience to the earth. Like I would take this to the waters. As many of you practice water ceremony with me and other programs. Um, when I feel even the edges of that, I go and surrender to the earth. Right? I walk the earth. I lay on the earth. I pray to the earth. I go and sit with the waters. I allow myself to be held by the waters. And I let go of that fixation on the collapse because it's intensifying through intense reactivity. So even the experience of collapse has to be held without reaction, right? And then you get the support from the earth, from the waters, from all the elements, really. Um, yeah. So Rachel, you have something?
Yeah, this is so weird, Lama Rod, and you're the one person I'd like to ask about this. So I was meditating the other day. I had cleaned up the incense burner.
Yeah.
I stuck two little tiny pieces of incense in the little hole, and there's no room for any more. Okay, that's it. I'm meditating. I'm three-fourths of the way through, and I hear this clicking noise. And another piece of incense, which was nothing like the other ones, had dropped onto my altar lit.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Yeah.
I love that.
Well, I didn't like it, so that's why I wanted to
Right.
ask you because I worry a little bit about interfering spirits and stuff. I mean, I don't know. This is not my bailiwick. What do you think?
Whatever spirit that wasn't interfering. It was helping.
Oh,
You know, like it was. I don't know what it was or whatever, but like that for me is just a sign of wanting to support your prayers and your practice. Yeah.
I may have insulted it.
I mean, that's fine, because it's like, and this is why we are always in communication with the spirits around us, that like, if they're going to show up, this is how we would like for them to show up. or else they're going to scare the shit out of us.
Yes.
It's okay to set those boundaries. Like, even, Sister Shifa, you remember you told me years ago, you were like, you told your spirits, only come to me in dreams.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't come and sit on my bed. Don't come and show up in
Yes.
front of me. I have friends, like spirits will just come to them anytime, any old time, and that's cool for them. Like they're okay with that. But for the rest of us, you can just be like, listen, if you want me to take this seriously, this is how I need you to approach me. These are the ways, right? And it's okay to say that, right?
I sort of did that. I just did
Yeah.
that thing that we talk about only spirits on my behalf are welcome.
Yeah.
And I actually took it outside and put water on it from the water outside
Yeah.
and put it in the earth. And I said to it, I hope if I've got this wrong, I'm sorry. But in the meantime, I'm putting it back to the earth.
Yeah, and that's fine, right? I want you to trust your intuition as to like how harmful or malicious energies show up.
Okay.
There will be a difference, right? But if you do the prayers, like as I often do, like I call to the spirits, this is who I am, these are the boundaries. When you do that, then you've created the protection already. So anything that comes in, I want you to initially trust that it's there to be a benefit to help,
Okay.
even though it may startle you.
Okay. It did.
Yeah, and it's fine. Let's just communicate that this scared me. If you could do something differently next time, or maybe you're aware of how this can show up next time, so you won't be so disrupted next time, right? But this is common, right, for a lot of us. Like there will be really interesting things that will happen. It happens to me so often that I don't even think about it anymore. I don't. It doesn't even register. Because I know that over all these years, I've cultivated protections, a field of protection that I know if anything is happening around me, it's not malicious, right? So weird things can happen, noises, different.
Oh,
I can sense all kinds of stuff, but I don't worry about it. I'm like, whatever, right? And I know what a malicious energy feels like. So as long as it's not that, I don't care. And spirits around me know, listen, you can do whatever you want, right? But you know what I'm doing. You know not to get in the way or distract me from certain things. Like you can take up space and do whatever, but let's just be respectful of each other.
that is
That's
so helpful. I can't
yeah,
tell you how helpful all of that is. Thank you. I knew
absolutely.
you were the person I needed to ask.
Yeah, this is it. I'm the llama you can bring these questions to. Um, I had someone was telling me recently that they were on a retreat and they were having experiences. It was an insight retreat and they were having these experiences, they study with me, and how they get kind of shut down. They were like, stop experiencing that. We don't do that in this retreat, which is not helpful. But also, I just want teachers to just admit that they don't know what's going on instead of telling students, you know, that that's not what should happen. Like just give that up. Just say, I don't know what this experience is. That's way more helpful. But I'll go a little further. I'll tell you what the experience is though. You may not want to know, but I'll get it. You'll get it. And so, I'll just take one more river.
Hi. Thank
Hey.
you for taking my question. Now that
Yeah.
you're talking about, I want to thank the person for the weird, freaky stuff, just because I'm like, and now it's my turn. 'Cause I love that. I also want to add to this spirit stuff, just because I feel like my whole life I've been trying to fight. It's been like a battle of like, oh, everything comes in and the discernment stuff and whatever, but fear has been one that I've noticed a lot. And I'm like, okay, so in like when you go more into magic, witchy, whatever world, there is no good, bad, whatever, but it's like it all is us. That's what I found. And for me, in my body, when I'm experiencing like or like
Hmm.
when I was first opening up to spirit, right? And I was like, oh, it would touch these uncomfortable things
Yeah.
that I think I wasn't ready for, but I saw it as like a threat. I would be like scared.
Yeah.
It was like a threat in my body. But so I just wanted to put that out there for that person of like, what did it touch? What did it make, a little bit, ooh, what's that?
Yeah.
Um, And then I want to share my own experience of I recently did this like taught at this camp for queer youth and it was like amazing. It was crazy. I cried. I heard my dead name. Like there was a person named my old name. That's pretty rare. And I saw myself there as a kid. Like it was crazy. But then this crazy thing happened that kind of just it I'm just like, oh, this is a thing that happens to me a lot and I don't know what it is, but I know okay, whatever. I'm just gonna say what it is.
Okay.
So in the camp there was like weird stuff going on. I didn't know what it was because they're trying not to overwhelm us, but because I pick up on things, I knew what it was. And then I had started being like, hey, this is stuff's going on. I'm picking up on it and I'm trying to figure it out. And then I'm trying to talk to people about it and everyone's upset, whatever. And then there was this like culmination of this moment where these kids in the camp, they started like fighting. So I interfered and I was like, hey, what's going on? Blah, blah, blah. But then I get like, I don't know if I'm like, is it that I got triggered or something? But basically, all of a sudden, I feel really bad.
Mhm.
And then it almost feels like I'm high and I'm not high.
Yeah.
And I'm like totally like, it feels like, and then like I thought I heard
Mhm.
something. And it was like a kind of like a trickstery laugh. So I was like, oh my God. But I'm like it feels out of body, but it's just like I just don't know what that sensation is, but it happens to me. I'm like, this has happened to me a bunch.
Well,
What is that?
it's attachment, right? And so, like a lot of people, but you have a lot of awareness around your capacity, but there are lots of people who don't have awareness around. I would say in general, their mediumship capacity, right? Which for me, that basically means that like how we open and tune into or open into other energies, right? And how those energies are interpreted within our experience. So what you're doing is you're just walking around really just kind of open and their energies just kind of tuning in and so they're moving in and out, right?
Yes, that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Sometimes it feels like I'm eating, I'm digesting them.
Yeah.
And
Oh
then
yeah.
that's different because then I went through a really bad thing that I was like really scary.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was eating. It's like it has to pass through and then after that moment at the camp, it's almost like everything started shifting and people started feeling better. And I'm like, how can I don't want to do that all, like it was scary.
Well, you metabolize the energy. So, like, what you did what I would, the language I would use now, you did emotional labor for whatever the spirit, this energy
Yeah.
was,
Yeah, it
right?
was like around sexual abuse. So
Yes.
it was like pretty intense.
I would even go as far as to say that this was someone, or not someone's, a being, a spirit on that land, who experienced that level of sexual violence, and you were attuned to them, and you were able to release them from that trauma by allowing that energy to move through your body, and you released it on their behalf. Like that's the basic practice of doing kind of trauma work, emotional labor for spirits. Like you just essentially you absorb their trauma, you pass it through your body and you release it. And that frees them.
I mean, thanks for putting into words because it is like pretty freaky. It happens a lot, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't. Well, I've been confused in my I'm like, this is a thing. I know I'm open. I'm trying to like find ways to whatever,
Hmm.
but it is just feels like a my job.
Well, a job that you still have a right to consent to.
Yeah, but then
So,
like how do you find what the right job is for this?
well, it's a process of maturing in the practice. So so basically what that means is that you're learning how to close and open at will, and you're just open. Like, and so what you're learning through practice is how to actually psychically shut down, which
Yes.
is how you're going to survive in
Oh
the
my
world.
God, this is crazy. This is like, it's very funny that you're saying this, and it's like, oh, I don't know. Everything, a lot of things are just, I'm like, I am open. I try to remain open,
Mm-mm.
but I'm like, oh, people latch on
Being
because
so,
they,
yeah, you're like if you're always open, you're like a lighthouse and a welcome sign. And every all the energies and spirits are just gonna like jump on top of you, right? And so what you're learning to do, and this will come with time, but like these are the practices that we're doing. Like you can easily translate anything that we practice that I teach into a practice of learning how to shield and to shut down. The seven homecomings practice is a great example of that. Like you call on spirit guides, benefactors to create barriers, right? At will, consciously, right? Because there are going to be many spaces that you're going to be moving through to that you can't be open to because there will be energies there that are meaning to harm you, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
so, and then over time, even more so, you'll be able to stay cyclically closed, but also at the same time psychically aware.
yeah.
So
You
there will
should
be a
have
different.
can you have a course?
You know what? This is literally something that I've been thinking about trying to formalize. I mean, this is just my process of working, right? Which I haven't read this anywhere. I mean, I have lots of mediums and psychics, as friends and in relationship with, but like this is just what I've learned through Buddhism, through meditation to do, right? So, but this is something I can teach. This is something that I will be teaching in terms of ancestral cleansing work, like this very process of metabolizing trauma from other beings through the practice in a way that's safe and kind of guarded and regulated and so forth. Yeah, but until then, like, I would make sure to start carrying some stones. That's an easy support. Dark stones, tourmaline, kind of smoky quartz. Obsidian is one of my, basic stones that I work with and carry. I carry these stones if I feel like I need support, but mostly these days I don't because like my psychic kind of mediumship is so strong that I know how to close it, but I also know how to ask for help. Like if I feel overwhelmed, I just pray and ask for Tara, whomever, to come and just kind of like create a barrier as well. But until then, stones, are really great. But I would also encourage any of you to make cleansing part of your practice. So if you go through like that kind of metabolizing, make sure you have a cleansing ritual, which can be as simple as a smudge, a spray smudge or a smoke smudge, Florida water, or I call it Georgia water. I make my own. Um, Epsom salt baths, right? If you do Reiki or know someone who does Reiki work, self Reiki you can do as well if you're initiated into Reiki. Um, or just like bathing or swimming in natural water is really
Yeah,
great. Um, but some type of cleansing work, I would add that to your regular practice. And regular meaning, however much you feel like you need to do that.
I feel
Right.
like I do it so much.
Good.
Um, but now that you're, yeah, talking about it, I'm like, yeah, I guess it's like I've been kind of being like, I wish I had a routine, and I'm like, oh,
It's routine is important. That's going to depend on how much you think you need it, right? But incorporating that as regularly as possible, especially since you don't have as much control over this right now. But also, I want to also emphasize something too for you is that you have lots of protection. And this is why you haven't experienced anything overwhelming, right? This is why you haven't had a really serious attachment, which we will call possession, in the field, right? A possession is not a spirit jumping into your body, it's just a spirit climbing onto you. And I've had to do intensive cleansing work to release possessions or attachments or possessions as well, you know?
well, you talking about that, I kind of part of me is like, what, where could I be? It's kind of like, where could you be an exorcist, but not part of the Christian Catholic
Well,
Church?
that's exorcism is not just a Christian Catholic thing, right?
Yeah.
There are words and language for exorcisms across cultures around the world. Like, you know, people have been doing this for forever in communities. So, but we can call it cleansings, right, as well, if you don't want to use the language of exorcism. Exorcism is really heavy, right? But
Yeah.
cleansing is often a word that a lot of people that I'm in a relationship with will use instead of exorcism. But yeah, like having, um, and sometimes there's energies that are just attached to us and we don't even feel it until we go into a deep cleansing. That's okay as well. But you will know when you have a major attachment. But it doesn't have to get serious if you have a regular cleansing practice. If
Right.
you're working with stones and then just building your capacity to create psychic barriers, right? Um, so the psychic barrier, I would say Seven Homecomings practice is a great one to train with. The snow practice, again, my basic practice is what I often use as well, like to open and to close. So at the end of snow, when you let it go, let it float, you just imagine just a barrier of light just surrounding you to close you off, like from picking up anything. Um, Going to sleep at night, if you're worried about any kind of interference, then that psychic barrier is great to have at night before you go to sleep. Um, your home, and this is for everyone, your home should be really well protected, and cleansed, right? And so I do all kinds of things from having stones everywhere. As Sister Schiffer knows, you come into my house, there's a stone everywhere. There are all kinds of stones everywhere everywhere, you know. But I do energetic wards, around the house. I do all kinds of protection work. Um, and this is like a safe space for me. Also, it's like Grand Central Station for spirits. I have all kinds of fucking portals open, but it's only light beings who are passing through, beings who are here to help or who are just like whatever. Like I don't mind any of that, you know. But no malicious spirit can come into my house at this point in my practice. No malicious spirit can attack me either at this
Yeah.
point in my practice. And now that wasn't the case at the beginning
Yeah.
when I headed out into woo land. At this point, all of this is pretty secure.
I'm so happy you're everything you're saying. It's just, and also the people in the chat of just like, it's so hard to open up about this and not be like, someone's gonna call me crazy. Someone's gonna put me in a mental institution.
Exactly.
Like, and it's like, okay, there's other people who understand this, and there's ways to protect yourself and keep being this way. And yeah, so this is very nice. It's always very grounding, and feel very like, oh, it's safe for me to be myself here, and that's great. So thank you.
You know, we are being brought online. Like it's we're remembering our ancestral practices, our magic, you know, everything that was taken away from many of us through colonization, right? And to return back to these practices, which are ancestral, are deeply intuitive, right, means that we have to push against all the ways in which these systems are trying to deny us this power, right? Because this is what we will use in abolition work. This is what the anti-slavery abolitionists were using was real magic, not just the political work, but also the magic, the mediumship, the herbalism, right? You know, and we have to return back to that. This is what I call spiritual material, spiritual abolition. Is the return back to magic and real abolition work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and we come from everyone. We come from, you know, indigenous ancestries. I mean, we have to go probably way back for some of us, but like we all come from indigenous ancestors who lived in community and societies where all this was held. You know, like that the unseen world or the more than human world was held with reality, and there were practices and systems in place that helped us to understand what we were experiencing and how to address what we were experiencing. And we have to bring this back. You know, we talk about, you know, if we talk about this stuff and people may label us all kinds of things. Well, you know, let's reestablish the systems that helped us to interpret like what we're really experiencing. What am I really seeing? Right? And who do I need to call? What are the practices that people can do for me, or how can I be held by people to help me to discern what it is I'm really experiencing? So we don't have to do this alone. Like I hear people say, "Oh, I don't know what's going on." Then this is when you have to ask, right? If I experience something big, there are people that I can call and message. I have elders and, you know, and spiritual advisors and teachers that like I can discern with to make sure that like, okay, is what I'm really experiencing really what I think it is, or if I have dreams that I can't interpret, I know who to call, right? To support me in dream interpretation. So like we need community. This is what I'm saying. You need community. You need to be in conversation with people who can mirror back to you know, wisdom and clarity. You just don't have to sit through this alone. This is why community like this is important. This is why I make myself available in this way to talk about this, because I didn't have anyone to talk about this with. You know, I just had to learn this on my own, you know, and through whatever research, you know, that I've been able to do. But it's also just been about just being thrown in situations and trying to figure it out, you know, and just learning processes from that figuring out, which I can just easily share with you now. You know, yes, community is the medicine. But anyway, I have other things to do. And having said that, thank you all so much for your practice. And I'll see some of you in and out of different spaces online, in person over the next couple of weeks as well. Until then, be well, be safe, be protected, and just keep holding on. Right? This is what we do till we get free. All right? Right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
thank you,
Lama
Sister
Rod.
She.